So I've been working in data and analytics for a little over 10 years now. And one of the pieces of data I'm always surprised that I need as frequently as I do is historical weather data. And that's because it's not something you think about all the time, but it's something that affects quite a lot about our lives. So, for example, if you're trying to analyze why revenue for a particular retail location is down, if you think about it, people probably aren't going outside as much as it's raining. So it's really helpful to know if it was raining that specific day. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you one, where you can get weather data completely for free from the US government. Two, how you can think about and process that data so you have a complete data set to work from. And three, we're going to be reviewing a small sample of Python code that I've written to download historical weather data in bulk. And I'll have that Python code linked down below in the video description. But before we get there, if you're interested in data and analytics, and in particular business intelligence, if you could do me a favor, go on over and give this video a thumbs up and then subscribe. It would mean a lot. All right, let's jump into the computer and let's get started. So if you're trying to find historical weather data, you will probably end up here on NOAA's website. And that's because they have this climate data online webpage. Now, there's a bunch of self-service functionality that allows you to search and download data directly from this website. However, they also have an API. Now, this API is super well documented. I'll put a link to this documentation down below in the video description. But once you go onto this website and go onto the documentation, you can first request a token, at which point you can then make up to 5 requests per second and up to 10,000 requests per day from this API for historical weather data. Now you might be like, well, great, this API looks fantastic. I guess I'm ready to go. Well, not so fast. So let's say that I want to find the weather over my house for the past 3 years. Now my house is in Portland, Oregon, which is where I live. So I go and I try to find the weather in Portland. Now, Portland is a fairly decently sized city. So in Portland, they have 6 different stations. So it's not just a matter of, hey, what's the weather in Portland? It's a matter of, hey, what's the weather in Portland at each one of these individual 6 stations. So moving then on over into an example, what I can do is I can look up the Portland city code via the CDO API, and then I can query the weather for that specific city. So like, for example, right here, just going ahead and clicking run. And what this code will do is this will export it out to a CSV. Now, if I open up this CSV, what I'll see is that I have a weather in a row for every single one of these stations, some of which isn't even populated. So what are you supposed to do in this particular scenario? Well, the most straightforward approach would be you just try to find the weather from the closest station, but that doesn't solve that station not reporting data for a day, for example. So the next logical way of solving this would be to first go to station 6, if that's the closest, then go to station 3, if that's the next closest, then go to station 2. However, not all of these stations report the same weather observations, and not all of these stations record weather at exactly the same point in time. So that creates kind of a problem. What are you to do? Well, what I would suggest doing is that if you're trying to find a weather for a specific location for a specific day, looking back historically, you use a radius approach. So you pick a latitude and longitude, and then you find all of the stations that reported weather for that day within a given radius, and you average the results. Now, I'm sure from a scientific standpoint, this isn't a perfect way of handling things, but it does produce a complete data set, which then runs you into a secondary technical problem. See, 10,000 requests per day sounds like a lot until you realize that you're going to be making a bunch of requests for a bunch of stations if you're trying to backpopulate a historical data set for, let's just say, 500 locations or 1,000 locations. Then all of a sudden, 10,000 requests per day requesting years worth of data suddenly doesn't seem like quite so much. So what's the solution? Well, it's to avoid the API entirely. And that's because, luckily for us, NOAA publishes all of this data that the API is returning as CSVs daily. So for example, here are all of the CSVs by year. Now they publish a lot of other data daily, and you can view that by going over here into this parent directory, including the location of their station. So for example, if you go right here, you can see here's the CSV with all of their stations. So like, for example, right, here's all of the stations and where those stations are located by latitude and longitude. So how then can we use these files to capture data for a specific location for a specific date range? Well, my concept here is that you can pass a piece of Python code, an array of locations, which is what I'm doing here, a radius for how far away from those locations you want to average the weather from any station within that radius of, and then a start date and an end date that you want to capture the weather for. Now, because this is a lot of data and you're downloading CSVs, we're going to want to have some caching. So we are going to want to only download the location of all the stations once, and then we're going to only want to download the various weather CSVs once per run. And we're going to want to output that data to a particular path. Now, because there are various different types or pieces of data coming from all of these different stations, what we are going to want to do for any data type, weather data type that's not included in a particular data set, is create a blank row for any missing data. Now, once we have configured those outputs and those inputs, we can define a bunch of methods in Python right over here. And then we can call those methods in order to produce a single complete weather data set for a set of locations based off of latitude and longitude for a set date range. Now, I'm not going to review all of these different methods, but I do want to call out some of the more interesting ones. First, we have these two right here, which are what are actually downloading this CSV data to our computer. So that's the annual data from the actual annual data of the weather. We have the station catalog that it's downloading. Then we have the method right down here, which is actually building the total list of stations within the radius of our given latitude and longitude. And then finally, we have the actual main fetch weather data frame, which is past a list of locations, and for every single list of locations, builds the actual output data frame, which is then finally right down here saved to a CSV. So let's go ahead and let's hit run all, just so you can see this starting to go. And as you can see, because I had the clear cache, it deleted the cache. Then it downloads the station catalog, finds all of the stations within a certain kilometer range, then scans the bulk files. So like here it is, scanning the weather, and then finally outputs a data frame as a CSV right here into our workspace. And here is this data frame. And as you can see, it has one of each of the observations, the value for the observation, and then the station that contributed to that given observation for that day. And as you can see, even going out a certain distance, there is, right, some occasional missing KPIs or metrics. Now, if you are wondering what any of these abbreviations actually mean, if you go back into the notebook, you'll see that I have all of them documented right here. So I will save this notebook on my GitHub and link it down below in the video description for you to use. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, if you could once again do me a favor and make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and then subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.